Here's a look at the latest numbers put out by the government that really breaks down how bad the situation is in India. 78,003 cases of coronavirus so far reported across the country. The death toll also has risen to 2,549. Maharashtra remains the worst affected state with 25,922 cases. The death toll slowly inching towards the 1,000 mark. 975 deaths being reported in Maharashtra so far. Over to Gujarat, where the number of cases stands now at 9,267, with the deaths now reaching 566. In Tamil Nadu, the total cases again over the 9,000 mark, 9,227 cases, with 64 deaths being reported in the state of Tamil Nadu. Those are the latest figures as of 6:30 this morning. Let's also round up all the developments that you need to know on the coronavirus crisis in India this morning. Centre has now allowed the hiring of special buses by states and union territories to ferry passengers arriving at railway stations, considering the restrictions of transport during the lockdown. Under the SOP, to and fro movement of passengers from railway station to home has been allowed on the basis of confirmed e-tickets. The Karnataka government on Thursday announced its second financial package for farmers. The cabinet approved 162 crore rupees package for vegetable and fruit farmers and power loom weavers. Earlier, the government had announced 1,610 crore rupees financial aid to auto and cab drivers and many more. As of now, Karnataka government has announced 1,722 crores COVID-19 stimulus package. Student unions are protesting against online exams in Delhi University on Twitter. Student Federation of India has given a call to trend the hashtag, that's hashtag DU again stop online exams, on social media platforms, Twitter. Now, due to the COVID-19 lockdown, Delhi University administration has announced that it is going to conduct an online open book exam. Participating in the fight against the deadly coronavirus, over 10,600 women's self-help groups of Assam have made over 51.23 lakh face masks. With the brand name of Asomi, 84 stalls have been opened to sell masks across the women SHGs, have earned about 7.15 crore rupees through the sale of masks. Lakhs of home buyers who are awaiting possession of their flats are furious over the central government's relaxation to builders to delay the projects by 6 months. The home buyers demand immediate intervention by the government over this issue. The builders, on the other hand, have welcomed the decision of the government, citing lack of manpower as many daily wage labourers have left for their hometowns due to the lockdown. This Friday is the last day for all states to actually give their suggestions to the centre on Lockdown 4.0. All states will send a detailed report entailing the lockdown extension and also the relaxation format to the centre today. Most states have requested for opening economic activities in orange and green zones. States like Maharashtra, Karnataka, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Kerala are in favour of relaxing the non-hotspot areas. Delhi has already submitted a list of suggestions to the central government. Delhi is planning to open markets in odd-even format, while all educational institutions, cinemas and gyms may remain closed till June. Karnataka is even considering to open gyms and salons from Monday. Many states, including Telangana, Punjab, are in favour of the lockdown extension till May 31st. And let's focus on the state of Karnataka, where the government has decided to reopen gyms and golf courses across the state post May 17th, when phase 3 of the nationwide lockdown ends. The government may also restart restaurants and salons, but with strict conditions and restrictions. All the details in this report.
Come the 18th of May, fitness freaks can go back to gyms and golfers can do their rounds of the links. The state government has decided to reopen gymnasiums and golf courses which have been closed for nearly 2 months due to the lockdown.
ऑरेंज और रेड जोन में सैलून ओपन करने के प्रेशर है. फिटनेस सेंटर, जिम वे भी निर्बंध के साथ साथ फीवर टेस्ट सैनिटाइज रख करके ओपन करने के भी प्लान किया है। होटल 30% सर्विस करने के रिक्वेशन दिया है, वो भी 17 के बाद 99% कुछ निर्बंध के साथ शुरू होंगे।
The decision on gyms was taken after a delegation met Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, urging him to look into the plight of gym owners and trainers who were losing their only source of income.
It's been really a hard time for our fitness industry. From past 2 months it's lockdown, so all gym owners and trainers we suffered a lot. So I request all the gym owners to please follow the guidelines and take care to prevent this COVID-19.
The Karnataka government is also thinking of opening restaurants and salons with strict preconditions. Many restaurants are willing to open their dining sections for just 30% of clients.
We will ensure to take necessary precautions like hygienic, maintaining social distances and other things also. We will issue guidelines to all our hoteliers to take extra care of cleanliness and to serve quality and hot food.
Post May the 17th, relaxations may well see resumption of some services to help out small neighborhood businesses.
The government has confirmed gyms and golf courses will be open starting from 17th of May. Golf course also will be open because the minister said that it's a safe sport as per the government, because only a few people play and proper social distancing norms will also be maintained. So starting gyms and golf courses, two big relaxations coming in Karnataka even before the 17th of May, that it has been announced, and post the 17th most likely hotels, saloons and other sporting events might open in Karnataka. Nagarjun Dwarkanath for India Today.
So on one hand, you have Karnataka, which has had the COVID-19 crisis under control and hence is considering opening up completely post-Monday. On the other hand, you have Maharashtra, which continues to be the worst affected state and therefore will continue to have a lot of restrictions from Monday. Now, with 25,900 cases now in Maharashtra and the death toll now crossing the 900 mark, the situation remains dire in the state. A total of 1,602 new cases and 44 deaths were reported in the state in the last 24 hours. Out of 1,602, 991 new cases were reported in Mumbai alone, making it the highest number of coronavirus cases in a single day in the financial capital. Out of 44 fresh deaths, 25 were reported in Mumbai alone. 2 Mumbai police officials have also lost their lives to coronavirus, taking the death toll in the city's police department to 9. Over 400 cops, in fact, have contracted COVID-19 in Mumbai and over 1,000 in the state of Maharashtra. As of now, over 5,500 people have been cured of the virus and around 3,15,000 people are under home quarantine. Now, after announcing schemes for MSMEs, migrant labourers and farmers, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is expected to hold a briefing on the third stimulus to revive the COVID-infected economy. The Finance Minister yesterday announced SOPs for street vendors and middle class. In a major step to address the migrants' crisis, the government announced free food for migrants up to 2 months. Nirmala Sitharaman also announced the One India, One Ration scheme to help those hit by the pandemic. The government also announced affordable rental housing under the Prime Minister Awas Yojana for migrants. In a big boost for the agriculture sector, Sitharaman announced 30,000 crore rupees emergency capital for NABARD and 2 lakh crore rupees credit line that will benefit 2.5 crore farmers.
I said there are three steps that we want to explain about the migrants. The first thing relates to free food grain. Free food grain supply to all migrants for the next 2 months. How is this? You're aware, we had already announced that for the public distribution system-based, card-based people who get their regular quota of rice or wheat and in their residences, we had added free 35 kgs for them, either of rice or wheat, and also said 5 kgs per individual, but per card 1 kg of pulse was announced earlier. And that additional 5 per month kg of wheat or rice was being given free. That was made clear. Now what we are saying is that continues, that remains intact. But for those who are non-card holders, meaning they are neither under the National Food Security Act, nor are they holders of any state-level cards, for them, they shall be given 5 kgs per person of wheat or rice, or 1 kg of chana, so that is for per family. And if the person is remaining without card, he can also get it. We are engaging with the state governments to make sure that they know where these migrants are, they can approach them and give them, because most of these migrants who have no cards are staying in those camps which are being run either by the government or by the NGOs, and therefore, based on a rough assessment which has been given to us by all the state governments, we think there are about 8 crore migrants for whom benefit will reach through this free food grain supply. The central government will take the cost and they will not be charged. 3,500 crores will be spent on this intervention within the next 2 months. So I know migrants are also moving out, either they're going back, very few are coming back. Irrespective, we are saying for the next 2 months, they shall get free rice or wheat and also 1 kg per card, per family. Without card also, you can get your rice, wheat or wheat or chana. So this will reach through the state governments. State governments will be implementing agencies. They will identify the migrants. They will take care of the full distribution and they will provide the details. Shelter homes, which are under the shelter for urban homeless category, that is something which normally is there. But in those shelter for urban homeless, 3 meals are provided entirely at the cost of the central government. So homeless who live in urban areas, particularly in the COVID situation, are getting 3 meals per day. And I'm not saying this as though, oh, we've done this. I'm saying more from the point of view of we are conscious. We are attending to the migrants and we are giving them in various different ways. Food, taking care of them in the shelters, reaching cash to them. All this has been done and therefore I'm enumerating. And did I do this some other time? Last year? No. I am showing you what has happened in the last 2 months, the critical lockdown period. So in shelter homes, 3 meals are being provided for people who are urban homeless. Public distribution ration cards can be used in any ration card, any ration shop in any part of the country as you move along. So if there is a ration card holder, today he's in Bihar or Karnataka, tomorrow he moves to Rajasthan, he can take his food ration from any ration shop in that state. So national portability, which is now being defined as one nation, one ration card. One nation, one ration card will be implemented, and by August 2020, which is another 3 months, within 3 months, 67 crore beneficiaries in 23 states, which means the 67 crore beneficiary is 83% of all the PDS population that we are talking about. 83% of all the PDS population will get covered by this.
So those were some of the highlights of Nirmala Sitharaman's address. The opposition, however, is unimpressed. Leading Congress's charger, former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, calling the stimulus as disappointing. Here's an excerpt.
Our demand was the migrant workers must be safely transported to their home states. And she admitted herself that thousands and thousands are still walking on the roads. Why is the government not stopping them where they are, immediately sending buses or taking them to a railway station and transporting them to their home states.
So, but isn't that a responsibility as much of the state governments as the centre? Isn't that a responsibility of the state governments as much as the centre when it comes to transporting migrants?
Oh, listen to me. Of course it is. But trains are owned by the central government. Buses are owned by the state government. So both have to work together. She constantly mentioned central government is working with the state governments. On this issue of transport, why is the central government not working with the state governments? Point number 2, we demanded that money be put in the hands of the migrant families. They have come back home today, exhausted, tired, devastated, complete destitutes. There is no work in the village because that is the reason why they migrated in the first place. Now they've come back to the village. Where is the work for them? So give them money first. You don't put money. So our migrant workers related demand has not been met at all, except for a quantified amount, quantified by the FM of 3,500 crore in a period of 2 months. As far as the other big demand, for the bottom half of the population, 13 crore families who have been pushed into indebtedness, then into destitution, and now on the verge of devastation, should be given 5,000 rupees per family. Now, why is that not been given for the last 50 odd days? And why doesn't she say, yes, we will give it to these bottom half of the population? It will cost you 65,000 crore.
There has not been a single relief. We have asked for the sake of farmers in order to protect them so that they don't commit distress suicides. We said at least one-time loan waiver for the farmers. That has not been announced. But at the same time, during the period of the lockdown, 68,860 crores of loans taken by the rich and the corporates, those have been written off. If you can write off that much amount, can't you save your own farmers' lives? No. There is no relief in this package.
Now, there's also a controversy over the amending of labour laws by Gujarat, UP and MP governments, and this particular issue has now reached the Supreme Court. A public interest litigation has been filed in the Apex Court over the legitimacy of the amendments, saying that the amendments clearly violates workers' rights and changes in law cannot be done through an executive order without legislation. The furor stems from an amendment in labour laws made by Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and the Uttar Pradesh government in a bid to boost investments that was hit due to the nationwide lockdown. This comes amid a nationwide agitation that has been called by RSS-affiliated Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh against the ordinances by these three states on May 28th. Now, the amendments has led to increased working hours for labourers from 8 to 12 hours and has given employees a free hand to hire and fire workers with no intervention from government or from union. Over to some other stories also that we're tracking this morning. The lawyer appearing for the Palghar lynching victims was killed in a road accident on Wednesday morning. The accident took place on the Mumbai-Ahmedabad National Highway near the Manor advocate Vijay Trivedi, representing the three sadhus, was heading towards the Dahanu court in his car. Trivedi was driving the car along with a colleague when he lost control and crashed the car into a divider. Trivedi succumbed to injuries while another woman who was travelling with him suffered severe injuries and is hospitalized. The VHP has cried foul, claiming that this accident is a conspiracy.
पालघर में पूज्य संतों की हत्या को 1 महीना बीतने को है, लेकिन उसके न मूल हत्यारे पकड़े गए और न ही उनके षड्यंत्रकारी। आज जिस प्रकार केस से जुड़े एक जूनियर वकील की रोड एक्सीडेंट में मृत्यु हुई है, वो भी दुखद है, उसकी भी जांच होनी चाहिए।
उनको सीखने की इच्छा थी, इसलिए उन्होंने हमसे अनुरोध किया था और मैंने उनको इस केस में साथ में आने के लिए अपनी इच्छा जाहिर कर दी थी। अभी तक इसके बारे में मैं ये नहीं कह सकता हूँ कि इसमें कोई षड्यंत्र हुआ है या कोई साजिश के तहत ये एक्सीडेंट हुआ है, क्योंकि जब तक जो गाड़ी है उसका इंस्पेक्शन नहीं होता है, उसकी रिपोर्ट नहीं आती है, तब तक इसमें हम कुछ नहीं कह सकते हैं और हमारे साथी भी कुछ नहीं कह सकते हैं। आरटीओ की, इंश्योरेंस की, सबकी गाड़ी के इंस्पेक्शन के बाद कोई रिपोर्ट आती है तो इसके ऊपर कोई बात होगी।
And after facing flack for defending Nirav Modi, former High Court judge and Congress leader Abhay Thipse has hit out at the Modi government. Speaking to India Today, Thipse accused the Narendra Modi government of having a grudge against him. He claimed that the government is targeting him for his past judgments. Abhay Thipse has said that he's never met Nirav Modi personally and that he'd only given his opinion in the case after being contacted by a UK firm. Now, also, he's told India Today that he may take action against Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad for claiming that Congress had instructed him to defend the fugitive Nirav. Abhay Thipse, a London court, had come out to defend Nirav Modi in his testimony, saying that the case, CBI's case against Nirav Modi, will not hold in Indian courts.
That is BJP leaders, relatives, the whole leaders, they are defending Congress people in courts. There are so many instances are there that these fugitive criminals are being defended by people like Jaitley. Nirav Modi's case was handled by Jaitley's daughter as a defense. I am only giving evidence as an expert. I am not certifying his innocence or anything. But you actually appear in court and plead for his innocence. And that is permissible. And if I say something, just because you have some past grudges against me, you rake it, because of my frankness and fearlessness. If I delivered some judgment in the past which are hurting you, you take any opportunity to talk any nonsense, what can be done?
You mean to say, sir, there was no instruction from any Congress party
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
leader or
not.
anyone else?
They would not know also. In fact, the GOI, BJP must be knowing because the government was served with my opinion. The Congress not being the ruling party, the center, they would not know also.
You mean to say, sir, there was no instruction from any Congress party
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
leader or
not.
anyone else?
They would not know also. In fact, the GOI, BJP must be knowing because the government was served with my opinion. The Congress not being the ruling party, the center, they would not know also. And I don't, suppose you come to me for professional advice, I don't report to the party people that he has come. And that is unethical also. When I am approached professionally, it is between you and me.
And the London High Court has also rejected fugitive businessman Vijay Mallya's plea, seeking to challenge his extradition to India before the UK Supreme Court. Now, according to sources, Mallya has no legal options left in the United Kingdom and will likely be extradited to India within 28 days. The London High Court had rejected Vijay Mallya's appeal against extradition, leading him to seek permission from the court to move the Supreme Court against the order. On April 20th, the London High Court observed that Vijay Mallya had defrauded the Indian banks and should be extradited to India. Mallya is accused of defrauding Indian banks of over 11,000 crore rupees, including interests and penalties. And with that update, it's a wrap on this edition of the Bulletin. For all the latest news and updates and also the latest headlines on coronavirus, you can log on to our website indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.